Hello, 2016. This is Duane Kuss, headed for the Sand River Hilton for our 56th annual hunting expedition. Looking forward to it this year, and in fact have a doe permit. First time I've had a doe permit in a long time, so that adds some extra excitement in terms of all the does that we saw last year. Beautiful day. Supposed to be unbelievably warm, in the 60s the entire weekend, so not sure what that's going to do in terms of our hunting. Obviously, if they want to lay down and bed down, they certainly will do that, but we're going to have a beautiful time ourselves, enjoying the weather at bare minimum. Let's see who we got coming this year. We got myself, we got Todd, we got Jerry, we got Doug, we got Jeramie and Cory, and I think Chelsea, and that's it. Quite a few will not be making it this year. Joshua just had a new baby girl, if I'm remembering correctly, so he's at home taking care of the two kids now. And Sam Sam is finishing up his college football. He ended up busting his ACL, his other ACL this year. He blew it last year, and now he did the other leg, but is still obviously supporting the team. And they're having Parents' Day, and Betty's going to be down there tomorrow. Who else? Sam, right? Tom, he's out Florida with work. Jason, I think, is with the hockey team in Duluth. Who else am I missing? I think that's about it for right now. So looking forward to another great weekend, and I hope you enjoy the show. Who knows what's exciting yet to come. I also wanted to mention that this past December, right after hunting season last year, I had a total hip replacement, and I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to hitting the woods and walking freely where I want this year. Just wanted to reference the trip home from Tanks. By the way, we had a successful visit there without any happenstance, but on the way home we saw deer very close to us. In fact, one almost hit Jeramie, who was driving in the back panel. And then when we actually got to here, Sand River Hilton, in the last 200 yards, there were 3 deer off to the right, down in feeding. And I don't ever remember that. I mean, I recall deer certainly out in the fields as we were headed to Tanks, but coming home, there were deer everywhere. And so we'll see what that means in terms of tomorrow.
Hello, this is Doug, and my weekend was a weekend of very little action, maybe like no action. Yesterday I was at the blue line, didn't see anything, and then I went down to the hole, which is the Lone Oak, spent some time down there. Didn't see anything. There was a time that Jerry shot a deer, and when we trailed it, it was close by me, but I didn't hear anything, and I guess that's all that is said about that. And today I started out again down the bottom of the hole. The lone oak again. It was quiet, beautiful weather, very nice, relaxing. And then at about 9 o'clock I went up to Johnny's stand up on the ridge and spent the last hour or so up there just to see what it was like up at Johnny's ridge. But other than that, it was a successful hunt with the party, and that's what counts.
All right, Jeramie Kuss, 2016 hunting. Had a good, beautiful weather. It was actually too warm. Yesterday morning, Saturday, I saw about 8:30, saw a doe right behind me, about 20 feet away. And then from there, looked back, and there was a buck on the road, and followed it over to the opening there at Pollocks Point, big clearing, and took a crack at it through the iron sights, and it went down, but then got back up, fell down, got back up, fell down, and then disappeared. I thought it was down, waited a good time, but it was gone. So anyways, we tracked it and tried and tracked, and never did find it, but I had some excitement at least. But unfortunately, there's a wounded deer out there, and it's my fault, but that's why they call it hunting and not killing.
2016 hunting. Am I supposed to look at it?
Use the sun, turn this way.
Yeah, all right. Let me fix my hair. Started opening morning on Poacher's stand on the northeast corner of the property, and had a doe right off the bat in the dark, 10 feet away, and I watched her for 10 or 15 minutes, so it seemed. And she never really did spook. She kind of moseyed away and headed into the aspen. And then about 8:15, somebody took a shot. I think I was hearing Jerry, so you just heard his story. I think I heard that shot. And about 10 or 15 minutes later, I look up northeast, coming down the high ridge there, and a deer is coming, and I really can't tell what it is. And but it's stopping and rubbing on brush and wrestling the brush and stomping its feet. And I got it in the scope and didn't have a good shot, so I dropped this gun for a minute and watched it again, and it came a little bit closer, and was still just roughing up the brush and rubbing the brush, and was as aggressive as you can imagine. And I finally saw that rubbing head go up and down and up and down, and just dropped in a shot right below its head someplace there, and got lucky, hit him in the neck. He dropped right there. So he's a pretty nice fat little 8-point buck, and that was the first deer of the weekend, and that was Poacher's. This morning, later in the afternoon, I was at Slash Pile, saw nothing. And this morning went to Don's metal stand and saw 2 separate little does around the milk carton swamp. So it was fun, a lot of good sightings, so it was a good time.
Hi, Cory Kessel here, opening weekend. I started out at Slash Pile, I didn't see anything. And then I ended at Poacher's Saturday evening and Sunday morning. I got pretty excited when I heard a squirrel, but did not come through to be anything. I unfortunately no sightings, and wasn't able to take a shot at anything this year, but better luck next year, and yeah, hopefully we'll get something.
2016, I started out on North Knoll, saw nothing there. That evening I went to Metal Stand, saw nothing there. This morning I went to Dimwit, saw nothing there. So pretty uneventful.
All good. All right, so yesterday morning I took off to Grandpa's stand, the metal stand, and I didn't see anything, didn't hear anything, just was kind of cold. Then yesterday afternoon I went down to Lone Oak and heard a lot of rustling, a couple grunts. Happened to find Jerry's grunt call in his bag that I happened to end up with. So I tried that out for the first time and didn't hear anything, didn't get anything at the moment. And then about a half hour later, a couple of does came down straight at me down a trail, and gorgeous does, didn't have a doe permit, so had to let them go. But thought maybe their boyfriend would follow, and sure enough, about half hour, 45 minutes after that, heard some more rustling and a grunt, so I grunted back and heard some more rustling, so I stood up just in case, and sure as hell, out come this buck following the same trail that the does were on, and he's on mission. He's moving. So I got him in my scope, shot and missed, and he took off running and tried to circle behind me. So it was shoot, miss, shoot, miss, shoot, miss, turn, turn, turn. And I got all the way around to the tree that was behind me. I had to go up and around the tree, caught him in my sights one last time, and bam, took him out. He dropped, tried to get up, maybe 10 feet, whatever, dropped right there, and I just stood there and just thought, don't get up, don't get up, don't get up, don't get up, don't get up. And he didn't, but I stood poised and ready, and pretty soon, about 15 minutes later, Jeramie and Cory came down on their four-wheelers, and they just saw me standing there with my rifle pointed at it, going, well, what the heck is, what's she doing? And I just flagged him in and said, he's down, he's over there, I'm pretty sure, I can't see him though, so be ready. And they walked up, and all I heard was, Jeramie, hell yeah, Chels, get your ass down here. And sure enough, I got my first buck and first deer on this property. He was about 3-pointer, good size, long shot, nothing but lungs, blew out into the woods, just dropped right there. And so then Jeramie and Cory helped me. Thank you, boys. I should say they didn't help me. They did it. They gutted the deer for me because that was the deal, but I appreciate it nonetheless. And drug it out and got it hung up, and I'm pretty excited, pretty proud of myself. This morning went out and I just enjoyed the sunshine. I did see a doe or I think it was a doe, I couldn't tell you. I just saw a tail and she took off, or he took off, whatever. But I'm a happy girl. I'm pretty satisfied. Yeah, I would have never guessed with the warm weather that this is how this weekend would turn out, but it's been amazing and my best year yet.
So Duane Kuss here, sitting on Cialis, which is Sand River Hilton 4 on Sunday morning, and bring you up to speed in terms of opener of 2016. Yesterday morning, I headed out to IKEA, the stand that Sam and I put up together a few years back, and heard shooting. Initially, that was Jerry, who was on Pollock's upper, and then Todd, who was on Poachers. And after Todd put his buck down, he didn't have a rope, so he came back from Poachers through the landing there at IKEA, and we chatted, and then he picked up Doug and Cory, and the three of them drove by again, headed back to Poachers, and so they picked up the buck and put it on the back of Todd's four-wheeler, and they drove by again at IKEA. So I'll have to admit, it was no big deal, but I was kind of chuckling to myself, and well, how many more times are you guys gonna come through my hunting space? But ironically, here's the rest of the story. They head past and are bringing the buck down to the lowland graveyard to hang it up, and they accomplished that, and I think it was probably Doug and Cory are going to head out to see what Jerry might have been up to with the shot that he made. And just about that time, I'm sitting back enjoying the warmth. It's just gorgeously beautiful. And I happened to open my eyes up, and son of a gun, right in front of me to the left, here's this doe, walking right down the path, from the main road. And my gun is behind me to the left. And so Todd had been talking about a doe he saw earlier in the morning and evaluating what size it might be. And I look at this doe and I said, "Oh, that looks pretty good." And son of a gun, it's not past me that there's another doe right behind that's even bigger. So they both saw me, they knew I was there, and it was a game of getting my gun in position, and I just stayed seated and pulled up. And by this time, one doe had passed by, and the other was just headed closer to the low brush area. So it was the bigger of the two, and I poked at it, and it went down, and I waited for a bit and then took a second shot to put it down totally. And meanwhile, the other doe headed off, what would that be, to the north. And sure enough, I got a nice sized doe. The only challenge that happened there, okay, and so, by the way, on a sideline here, so these two does are staring at me, we're staring down each other, and meanwhile, the four-wheeler, the guys go by with the four-wheeler, and, the deer, kind of motioned to it, but they weren't worried about it. They, it really was secondary to, their focus on me and trying to figure out exactly what I might be doing here. So I get down, the does just off the edge into the woods a little bit, and I'm take out my knife and I'm gonna start, gutting it out, and I decide that I don't like the position here, so I go to move the deer, and my left hand slides and it creases this finger right here, cuts the top of it to the point that it's gushing out. I mean, it's just gushing. And fortunately, again, I had some paper towels and I wrapped it quick. But it wasn't much later than that I realized there ain't no way on earth I'm going to be able to gut this deer. So I head on in to the shack, and the guys there are already having lunch and, kind of chilling out. So Todd was kind enough to join me, and a little later Doug came along, and they helped me gut out this doe, and we hauled it down to the graveyard and hung it up. So that was, great success. Of course, I had a doe permit. Then come the evening of Saturday, Todd was talking about Hatchet, and how, Hatchet was kind of the first time we went east off the property. I kind of took a risk back then, saying, hey, I think a stand over there might be appropriate, and of course hunted off Hatchet many times. So he said, well, they're going to be logging here, and you might want to go back one last time. So sounds like a good idea. So I 3-ish, I would guess, headed out there and with four-wheeler, and not difficult, but not an easy drive getting there because of down trees and the like. But got up in the stand, have my nice I've got a swivel nice swivel seat here that Ryan Thomas gave me for Christmas. I just love it. Anyways, I threw that up in Hatchet, and I'm sitting back just enjoying the beautiful afternoon. It's been in the 60s here. Been in the 60s Friday, Saturday, and now it's Sunday. So I'm sitting back, relaxing, and all of a sudden there's two red squirrels chattering off direct to the east, just back and forth. And I started thinking to myself, they usually do that when somebody's around them, something agitated them. But I'm still, this is just gorgeous, beautiful. Then straight to the south, I hear this chee-chee-chee-chee-chee-too, chee-chee-chee-chee-chee-too, or something like that. I have no idea what it was, but it ends up, Doug is on the south handle of Hatchet, which I didn't know till later on in the story here. And anyways, he heard the same thing himself. So that got me, I was so curious about that. I stood up and I turned around and was, just what the heck could that be? And son of a gun, off to the extreme, just about, I'd say, almost looking at the pine tree southeast. Sure enough, here comes a deer, and there's another deer behind it. And initially my thoughts are, oh, it's another couple does. And but this deer in the front's kind of playing this. There's a game going on here. This isn't just the little trot. There's something going. It's agitated, or it's racing. It's playful. And son of a gun behind it, this other deer. I mean, it's like coming after. He hide and seek. He's going after this other deer. And so they trot, I'm going to guess, 40 yards in front of me, okay, roughly. And then the first deer takes a hard 180 and heads back. And now the deer that had been trailing it by, let's say, 10 yards, does a real, tight turn. And son of a gun, that's acting like that looks like a buck. And literally, and this is all happening in 30 seconds. I decide that's a buck. So there's the doe, and it's following the doe. So, okay, there's the doe left, get ready. There's the buck, boom, or, there's the deer, and took a shot. And then ended up taking 4 shots and eventually put it down. And, oh golly, went out to gut it or look at it, but I texted everybody saying, hey, I need help here. And Jeramie was kind enough to head our way. He somewhat got stuck in terms of taking the turn south on the blue line. So I went up to try to head him off and straighten things out. Meanwhile, son of a gun, there's Doug to the south on Hatchet South handle. And so, hey, you need a help? Doug says, and I said, sure, please, come on over. And so by the time we're done, the 3 of us took care of that buck, and then Cory showed up too. So I think we got a picture of the 4 of us. But beautiful, well, a phenomenal day. And I'm telling you, the entertainment that I saw between that doe and that buck and how they were chasing each other was just unbelievable. I've never had anything close to that in terms of my life experiences. And in fact, this appears to be the weekend of all weekends where Beaver Buck was a part of everybody's journey. And you'll hear many other stories of a doe and a buck, and the craziness of what's happening here in the 60+ degree weather.
Yeah, or disorder.
Oh, okay.
Reminder, please no fisticuffs or brawling.
All attendees must wear pants.
Put the camera up.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
I'm a man. I can change if I have to. I guess.
All right. Who's leading? You are.
All right,
You called
so
it.
thanks for all attending. We've got to wrap up the day. We got deer down there, and we'll need muscle. So the point was everybody doing their own thing wouldn't give us all the muscle we need at the one time we need it. So we'll figure that out. We've got a trailer on that rig. Maybe the gator could toss a couple. And the trail here, you can see where I went in. It's just not a problem at all. Anybody wants to ride back. And we've probably got enough ropes on these animals already to rope them up. And then we need muscle to rope them up and, you know, give them the big hug and get them hanging. And then what are we doing, Dr. Photographer?
I have
Pretty
my
pants on.
tripod ready to go. Ready to
Well,
shoot.
point of order, why don't we take the picture down there where they're hanging? Is that possible? So we don't have to hang them up? Or
Yeah,
is it
that's
tradition?
an idea.
Do we need to rehang?
That's an
That
No,
idea.
we didn't
saves-
hang there last year.
That pries a good half hour, 45 minutes out of the whole operation, and I will second that motion.
All right, I'm
Motion
cool with that.
carried.
I'm cool with that.
All right.
I like
All
it.
right.
Motion has been passed.
Cool.
No, I said he was the
You know,
little one, not the
Oh, the
dumb
little
one.
one.
He's the little
Oh,
one.
the little one. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
All right, that sounds like a plan. We can all meet down there. Let's
we
leave in 7 minutes and meet down there in approximately 10. Does that work for
Sounds
everybody?
good.
Are we synchronizing our watches?
Yes, I've got no watch, but I track it with the sun generally.
I have a
Everybody
So, make
knows
sure
we
to
all
synchronize the
synchronize
sun.
off the sun. We got it.
Got it, good.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you.